Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to another one. Today I'm just going to be talking about dirty bulking and whether it actually works or not from my experience. And from my personal experience, I guess the answer is pretty simple, but I'll run through it with you guys and explain the difference, I guess, between dirty bulking and lean bulking. The idea of lean bulking is that you stay lean. You eat, in a slight calorie surplus, so you eat a little bit more than you're burning every day, and that'll vary on the person. But you'd want to try to make those gains slow and steady, and it basically doesn't matter how much you try to stuff your face. You basically, there's only so quick you can gain muscle, especially naturally. So just because you're eating 10,000 calories a day, which is ridiculous, but just an example. It doesn't mean that you're gonna be packing on a hell of a lot of size, more than the guy who's eating, 4,000 calories a day. And, I guess, if you've been competing or you've been cutting down for a photo shoot, the idea of dirty bulking is pretty exciting, and thinking about basically being able to not be so strict and eat what you want, add in, junk food here and there is pretty exciting stuff. But when you start dirty bulking and you're eating, like for me when I was doing it, I was eating everything I needed to eat. So I was eating the good carbs, chicken, rice, eggs, oats, fruits and veg, stuff like that. But I was also adding in junk food here and there. So I was adding in even like milkshakes, some muesli bars, cereals, stuff like that. And for the first week, or maybe even 2 weeks, you feel pretty good. You're like stuck in, you're like, hell yeah, I'm feeling like more full. You feel like you're making gains, and you actually not just feel like it, you look like it. You look better, you look more full, you look rounder. So you do make those steady gains a little bit quicker. But maybe even after, sometimes in my opinion, it's probably even after about a week and a half or something like that, maybe even 2 weeks, it starts to basically go the other way and the gains sort of slow. You sort of like adapt to the amount of calories you're eating, and all you're gaining is body fat. So it's like you're adding in more unwanted weight than you are muscle. So you're basically getting more puffy, especially probably around the midsection. You're probably getting a little bit more puffy than you would like. And that's the problem with dirty bulking, and as well as it's also eating highly processed foods is super unhealthy. It can lead to diseases, problems with your skin. It's not good putting that stuff in your body, and it's good to stick to the good stuff, the natural stuff. Know what you're putting in your food, prep your meals, know what you're putting in your body, and it, like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna make quicker gains, dirty bulking, especially not long term. It's definitely not something you can do long term. You'll just, you wanna be looking good when you take your shirt off. You wanna be able to go down to the beach, take your shirt off, look good, feel good about yourself. And, you will make gains. You just gotta be smart about it. Make sure you're in a slight surplus, and that's all you need, and 3,500 calories a day is pretty good, maybe even 4,000, depends how active you are. As I said, it'll depend on the person, but dirty bulking, that processed food isn't good for you, and it's basically just your body can't really use it. A lot of the nutrients that you might find in that food, whether it may be proteins here and there, you might have, eat protein bars or protein powders, you might have all those things have a lot of preservatives in there which are no good for you, and they're no good for your health, no good for your body. You're better off just eating some eggs and beans or milk and stuff like that, Greek yogurt, keeping it clean, but adding in those necessary nutrients, adding in those good quality calories, and that's the way you make the best gains. And you will see gains pretty much the exact same amount of way you would if you continue dirty bulking. Like I said, it peaks in the beginning, that like spike in calories, your body's like, yeah, let's go. But after a while, it just wears off, and it's just like you're just packing on extra body fat that you don't need. So that's my take on that. So my answer basically is that dirty bulking doesn't work. It's good to add in cheat meals here and there. I have cheat meals here and there, nothing too crazy, but it's all right to add in, a little muesli bar or whatever here and there and stuff like that too. But as long as you're sticking to, the main meals, eating healthy, focusing on what you're eating, paying attention to what you're eating and knowing what's in your food, that's the best way to go. And you'll have an awesome physique, you'll make some gains, be happy with how you look, be proud of yourself, and stick to it.